Good morning and welcome to Living Local 15. I'm your host, Jessica Williams. Happy Monday to you all. I hope you had a fabulous weekend and ready to kick it off with a brand new week. But first, it's time for some motivation. Here's the quote. If you don't make the time to work on creating the life you want, you are eventually going to be forced to spend a lot of time dealing with a life you don't want. The best thing about living life and having free will is that we make decisions for our life. You can decide what occupation to pursue, where to live, what to eat, and how to spend your time. I say go for it. Be in pursuit of the things that bring you joy and create your happy place. Do not ever feel you are trapped or time has passed or there's no way to accomplish your goals or pursue your dreams. Dreams don't have an expiration, so remember this. We get one life to live and it's never too late to start living it. Now on to the show. First up, the producer of Titanic, the exhibition, is joining me in studio to share all about their immersive experience and how you can feel like you're on the Titanic yourself. They also brought in real artifacts found on the ship and the story behind each treasure. And later, Foster Financial joins me for Money Monday, and we discuss election year and how it could impact your investments. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Fashion, food, and fun. You're watching Living Local 15 with your host, Jessica Williams.
We all love the epic movie Titanic, which was based on a true story that happened over 100 years ago. And today we are bringing that story to life with real artifacts discovered on the ship. And joining me is Mark Locke, which is the creative producer of Titanic, the exhibition. Good morning.
Good morning, Jessica.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm good. I'm pleasure to be with you and excited about this exhibition.
Me too. This sounds so cool. I personally love the movie. I love the film. I love the story it was told. I think it's one of only 3 movies that last 3 hours or more.
Yes, indeed.
And it's so historic, and it really hits home with just the history and what happened to those people. So how did you get involved with participating in the Titanic?
You know, the movie was out over 25 years ago, and it still hits home to people, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I was at home and got a phone call and really knew very little about the Titanic back then, but I was asked to do this exhibition. And everybody was talking about Titanic because of the film, but of course I think it still lives on because it was a real story. The film was very historical in many ways, accurate. Jack and Rose, on the other hand, was a fictional story, but we all relate to this story of Titanic. Everybody was so excited about the sailing of the largest moving object ever made by the hands of man, but then it ended so tragically for so many people. And I think that still connects with us today, how uncertain life can be.
Yes, I'll never let you go.
Yes.
I'll never let you go.
Indeed.
Women and children first. I haven't seen them forever, but these lines stick out in our heads.
That's right.
And the items that were on the ship were valuables. They were unique, antique, classy, because it was high-class folks that were riding on the Titanic. And so tell me about this exhibition that you currently have out of Chicago.
Yep. We're at the West Old Orchard Mall, north of Chicago. Some of your viewers may remember when we were at the Museum of Science and Industry over 20 years ago now.
Okay.
And people lined up around the block, and they wanted to see this exhibition. We're coming back now to this region, just north of Chicago, like I said, in Skokie. And a wonderful exhibition, the biggest one we've ever done.
Wow.
Very theatrical, full-scale recreation of the Grand Staircase. You'll look into a first-class cabin, a third-class cabin, go down into the boiler room where the men were shoveling coal to keep the Titanic moving, out onto the promenade deck, and then you'll walk face-to-face with the iceberg as well. So very theatrical, but 350 objects, also historical objects that connect in a very real way, I think.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so cool. I'm just thinking about the experience because this is an immersive experience.
That's
and the exhibition is in Chicago. People can take a road trip down to explore something fabulous and really feel like they're on the Titanic, it sounds like.
That's the idea, is to give you that energy. Remember, it started out as a very hopeful story. We tell it that way. You walk in, you get a boarding pass, and on that boarding pass is the name of a passenger. And I think people initially take it as a souvenir, and there's a little bit about the passenger, and even have fun with it. Look, dad's in third class and mom's in first class. But as you make your way through and the story gets a little more serious, and then unfortunately gets tragic. There's a wall of over 2,200 names that were aboard the ship. And people won't leave the exhibit until they find the name on that boarding pass up on that wall. And I think it has a little to do with the historical side, a passenger, a crew member. But I think, as I mentioned, I think it connects personally. You stand there with your friends and your family. And how many times do we learn this lesson of technology surging forward, which we're all proud of as a human race? But sometimes it can end tragically, and we're uncertain. We get up in the morning, think everything's going to be fine, and then that fragility of life sometimes steps in. And that's the story of Titanic.
Yeah, and so let's talk about some of the items that you brought in. And of course, with anything that is an artifact, you want to put on the white glove. To preserve it.
This first piece, this is obviously a teacup and a saucer. Interesting in that every class, the 3 classes aboard Titanic, they all had their own china. But nothing said Titanic on it. It said White Star Line, so they could be shared with Titanic sister ships. This, though, was only made for Titanic. And it's made by Spode. It's that cobalt blue and gold, but it wasn't recovered from the ocean floor. Titanic sailed from Southampton, then to Cherbourg, France, then to Queenstown, Ireland, then off to New York. Somebody, a few people, just sailed from Southampton to Ireland. And somebody took this off the boat as a souvenir. You know, we joke about taking towels from the Holiday Inn, right? Well, that's what this is. And this was the best of the best. This would have been for first-class passengers, not even all first-class passengers, those that were out on the promenade deck for their private tea in the morning and late evenings.
I think about what that experience would be like, hey, I know the Titanic sunk, but I have this teacup.
Well, then it was passed down through the family, and then our collector, like I said, over 350 objects, he was able to obtain this from the family part of the exhibition.
What else do we have here?
Well, this, we mentioned 2,200 passengers aboard the Titanic. Well, people, 900 of them were crew members. And they were as excited. This is Leonard Taylor. And Leonard Taylor was a 19-year-old Turkish bath attendant. The first-class passengers had a Turkish bath, cold plunges, hot plunges. They had a private swimming pool. They had a gymnasium. Well, he was so excited about this journey, 19 years old, he sent this postcard. I don't know if we can get that. This postcard to his mother about 5 days before she sailed. And on the back, you can see on the back, he's written to his mother. And he said, I'm so excited. He calls it my ship. And he also says it's safe and comfortable. And unfortunately, he was lost in the sinking, only at 19 years old, and his body was never recovered.
Such nice calligraphy, too.
Oh, I know. Isn't the handwriting? I think that's a lost art for sure. Right.
Oh, my goodness. And then what do we have here?
Well, now this was a passenger, Edward Locker, 19 as well. He was one of 15 children traveling to the United States to visit a friend. And when the ship went down, he also unfortunately was lost. But days after the Titanic sank, the White Star Line sent out some recovery ships because there were unfortunately bodies on the surface. They were recovered and identified. His body was recovered. He was lost. He was buried at sea, but this gold medal, ironically, for swimming, was something he won when he was only 10 years old, and he had it on his body, and that was recovered and returned the personal effects to his father July of that year. Remember, Titanic went down on April 15th.
Wow.
Yeah.
So exciting. Such good information. Before we go, really quickly, let us know about your experience diving down. You actually got to go down and explore.
It's a memory that I will never, ever forget, as you can imagine. You go out to the wreck site and you're with the most experienced, most qualified folks in the world, historians and deep sea diving experts. And I remember getting inside that small submersible and they turned the hatch above me and sealed it, picked up the submersible and put it into the ocean. Cameron's film at the beginning, the same subs, the same experience. And then you start this descent that takes 2 hours and 15 minutes. You look out the porthole, it's bright blue ocean in the morning, and in 15 minutes it fades to black. And for the next 2 hours you're in the dark. And you know that feeling when you're at a concert or a movie or a performance and the house lights go down and there's that sense of excitement?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you feel for 2 hours. And then a very light touchdown on the ocean floor, and the pilot, Russian pilot, spoke very little English, but he gestured to me, look out your porthole. And I looked at it, nothing but black, inky black. And then you heard the click of the lights, then the lights came up. And there in front of me, towering over me, was the bow of the Titanic. You know, that famous King of the World moment? Yes, exactly. But there it was in real life. So it was exciting. It was kid-like excitement, but also very dramatic and very emotional, because this was the site of a very serious, sad tragedy.
Well, that sounds exciting, interesting, emotional, and all of the above. Mark, thank you so much. Please let us know the dates of your exhibition.
Well, currently, we've been running for a while now. Currently, we're open through July 7th, so about a month from now, less than a month. But I'd keep an eye out on the website. That's the TitanicExhibition.com. You can schedule your visit. And my guess, between you and I, we might be there a little longer because it's been so popular. So make your plans through the summer to come to the exhibition in Skokie.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. Well, that was really exciting. You all can experience these artifacts and so much more at the Titanic, the exhibition. We'll have their website listed below, and I'll see you after the break.
Living Local 15, proudly driven by the Kelly Automotive Group.
This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome to Money Monday, where we provide you with holistic financial advice from Caleb Doan, the Vice President of Foster Financial. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing?
Good. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something that's probably top of mind for many, which is election year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and how investing could affect it, or just what people's portfolio looks like. So what do you have to share with us today?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it's probably one of the bigger questions that we typically get in election years. I'm sure a lot of people are getting mail out there, kind of telling them to get out and vote and all of that kind of stuff. But we always get a question, how should I invest during an election year? How should I change my investments during an election year? And I would say probably the biggest mistake maybe that people make is overestimating the impact that an election year has. Certainly has an impact on the market, can have an impact on your portfolio, but there are a lot of other things that have a much larger impact, like, you know, whether we're in a recession or not, unemployment rates, Fed interest rates, inflation, all of that typically has a much bigger impact, whereas people tend to focus on, you know, who's in the White House.
Right, and so what does this look like? I mean, tangibly, an election year, your finances, how does that impact each other, and how quick would someone see that impact?
Yeah, I'd say in an election year, we typically see a little bit more volatility in the markets. So a lot of times kind of getting up close to the election, people get kind of worried. There are people who maybe emotionally sell and they get kind of concerned about the markets. Generally, you know, somebody wins in November, somebody takes over, and then the markets kind of rebound and everything's fine. So that's typically what happens during an election year. So there's things that we do to maybe manage the volatility there. But one of the most important things is, hey, let's just stay invested. Let's, you know, go according to our investment strategy that we had laid out before, and let's maybe not make an emotional decision with what to do with our portfolio based on, you know, what, you know, who ends up in the White House, essentially.
Right. Yeah, so people just tend to be more aggressive and like, oh my goodness, like they're jumping and making rash decisions without just waiting. So that seems more an immediate thing that's happening, but then long term, as you said, a new person that gets in, they can make changes to taxes, they can introduce new bills that could have something to do with inflation and all of that. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So I mean, long term, the policies that somebody introduces and is actually able to get passed can certainly have an impact. Fortunately, maybe fortunately or unfortunately, I feel like our Congress, you know, is not the best at passing new legislation. And so, I mean, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. but it does add a layer of stability to the
Yes.
markets. And so presidents can come in and kind of have executive orders that can change things in the short term. But fortunately, the other president can come in, 4 years later and reverse a lot of those things. And so the market generally likes that there's some stability. It's difficult to make, really impactful long-term changes. And when there are long-term changes like big tax cuts and stuff like that, that's when the market can get impacted. And so we take a look at those things as opposed to just, who ends up in the White House.
Yeah, so the top thing that someone should do is stay invested, number one, but number two, talk to an advisor. So talk to me how your guidance can really help people stay steady with all the ups and downs happening in the market.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say, advisors can certainly help with tax strategizing, maybe investing somebody according to their appropriate risk tolerance, and that's kind of on the positive side. But they can also help people avoid making mistakes, on the negative side. A lot of people who maybe self-manage their own assets, it's very easy to get emotionally tied to that. And if you see the market, like in 2022, drop 20%, that can be a scary thing to see. And so if you have an advisor, a third party, somebody who can kind of take the emotion out of it and say, hey, we've seen this happen before, let's look at the actual data here, let's make decisions based on facts. It can be a helpful thing to keep somebody invested and keep them kind of pursuing their long-term goal.
Yeah, because you all see those ups and downs year after year. Most people don't track that personally, so you all know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so now that we are 5 months out from the election, I cannot believe that 5 months out. What does that look like in terms of the timeline? Is it too soon? Is it too late to start putting all these investing strategies in place?
No, I'd say now's a perfect time. If you don't have a financial plan, maybe you're somebody who retired and your money's just kind of still sitting in that 401k. Maybe it doesn't really have a financial plan, around it. There's not really a cohesive strategy. Now would be a wonderful time to talk with a financial advisor, maybe find some ways to manage the volatility as we get closer to the election and really identify what your long-term goals are for that money. Is it, generating income? Is it leaving a legacy? And just investing towards that goal is the best practice.
Okay, well, it sounds like now is the best time to contact you
at
Foster Financial. Okay, well, thank you so much, Caleb.
Thank you.
And if you would like more information about Foster Financial, we'll be sure to have their phone number listed below so that you can contact them for your complimentary consultation. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.
They put in the work and they snagged that diploma, and it's your turn to show them how much you appreciate all of their hard work. We're of course talking about gifts for your grad. Joining us now from Best Reviews is Jacob Palmer. Jacob, thanks so much for joining us.
And thanks for having me. It's a time of year where everybody's looking to buy something for somebody, and it's kind of hard to figure that out, so we brought our favorites to get you started.
Love that. So let's first get started for our grad over here with this amazing speaker.
Oh yeah, you can see how this thing could be fun just by the looks of it. It is the JBL Extreme 3. We in the Best Reviews testing lab have been going side to side with all of our favorite portable speakers, and this one came out as the absolute favorite among our testers because it's super lightweight, the sound is incredible, and we had it out and compared to our phone in about 10 seconds.
That's incredible, and that's a really great gift for anyone graduating high school, college. They're just trying to bump up the tunes.
Absolutely.
Now, when it comes to a little bit more of a fun gift, we have the GoPro.
Yeah, and this is one of those ones where it stands out where if you have that grad in your life that does cool things, this is going to take it to the next level, whether they're surfing, skiing, skydiving, whatever it is, that's a lot of fun. This is going to take awesome video, and this is the Hero 11 Mini. And what we love about this one compared to other GoPro models and why it makes such a great grad gift is because it's a little bit more affordable, and it's great for that person that does cool things but doesn't care that much about the quality of photography. It gets the job done and has super great resolution, but it's also just really effective in terms of being simple to use. One button can do everything you want it to.
Love that, and I can attest to this. I've had a GoPro when I was a college student, and it was a lot of fun. Now, college students, anybody looking to transition into that next part of their life also need a simple pan that can just do it all.
Well, welcome to the real world, and what better way to welcome them to the real world than with this, which is the Always Pan. It boasts 10-in-1 functionality. We took it out in the Best Reviews testing lab, and we made our entire lunch for all of our testers that day in it. It's so simple. It can boil water, you can steam vegetables, you can use it as a frying pan. It is just awesome, so simple to use, And for a lot of recent grads, they're not going to have a ton of space in the kitchen. This can make sure that they get the most bang for their buck no matter where they're living.
Well, I'm hoping that your team thought the lunch was pretty good, Jacob.
Well, I made it, so 50-50.
Who knows, right? Well, what's not 50-50 is a laptop. We all need one of those.
And this is an investment in the future, right? And so this is the MacBook from 2021. The reason we brought this version is because you can usually find good deals on MacBooks and other Apple products if you're looking a year or two older. We love this model because it's got the larger screen, which is great for video and photo resolution. It supports it with the right microchip to be able to be fast enough to do that. And for a lot of younger people, they love that kind of media production. This is the right tool to be able to support their career goals.
And maybe a recent grad, I don't know, wants to take a trip somewhere. You have the perfect suitcase for them, right?
Well, you talk about investments, you talk about something that's going to last a while. This Briggs & Riley is a little bit more expensive, but that's for a reason. It's because it's going to last forever. It's made out of really durable materials. It's also got a lot of features in it that makes it super versatile. So it's bigger right now, but you can bring it down and make it a little bit more compact. Either way, it works as a carry-on and is super effective if your grad wants to get out there and travel once they're out in the real world.
Well, these are actually really awesome graduation gift ideas, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. To learn more, just head to bestreviews.com or scan that QR code on your screen.
Best Reviews is owned by our parent company, Nexstar. You can find more on the products and where to buy them on WANE.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoy the show. And remember, you can always catch up on segments and episodes of Living Local 15 by going to WANE.com, downloading the WANE app, and also checking us out on YouTube. And I'll leave you with this. If you don't make the time to work on creating the life you want, you are eventually going to be forced to spend a lot of time dealing with the life you don't want. I hope you make the time today and make it a great day, and I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Content segments during today's Living Local 15 were paid for by these sponsors.